Hello guys, and welcome to this ChunkBuild Special. You know what, I started ChunkBuild last year, the series ChunkBuild, and I built 35, I think it is now, ChunkBuilds. And I thought we would collate all of them into one big field and have a little chat with them and make sure that we're up to speed with things like structure block downloads, and maybe give you a world download as well, so you can have a look at these builds. Yeah, look at this, guys. Way. We're surrounded by things. And yeah, if you're not interested in me walking you through all these builds, just go down in the description and have yourself a look at the structure blocks that exist for each and every one of these now. I know I've been slacking a little bit with some of them. And also there should be a world download, a link to a world download, so go ahead and grab that as well and have a look in your own time. But if you are interested, I will go through the builds one by one and talk briefly about them. Okay, so I will go through them in chronological order, and yeah, I should say this as well. There's 4 or 5 builds here, I think, that I've never made videos about, and I will talk more about them when we get to them. So it all started with this build here. This is a Tibetan house, and oh, I should say this as well. Most of them have interiors. Some of them are fairly sparse, but some of them are really cool. So you should go in and look into the houses as well, guys. Yeah, this is a Tibetan house. This is my attempt at a small Tibetan house. The reason I choose this to start off with was that we were starting our second season of Minecraft, and I needed to build. I needed to come up with a style, basically, and this is what I came up with. So following along in that theme, I then went on to make a Mongolian yurt. A yurt is a type of tent, a sort of a semi-permanent tent that the nomadic Mongolians would bring with them when they were going about their business on the very big plains of Mongolia with their horses. And this also has an interior, albeit a very sparse one. It's a tent, guys. Come on, give me a break. The third Asian build here is a Buddhist temple. And it looks mighty snazzy with the lamps there. These lamps, by the way, are an invention of Magma Musen, so go check out his channel for a tutorial on how to make them. And in here we have a little shrine. We then switched gears to the medieval theme, and I had the idea to build a modular castle, so a castle made up out of chunk builds that fit together, so you can fit them together in different ways to make a whole castle. And this was the first bit. This is a corner piece of a wall, and this theme turned out to be by far the most popular theme, together actually with the Mongolian and another one that we'll come into later. But you can go into the towers. There are it's kind of meant to be semi-historically accurate. Yeah, there are places you can stand and shoot, places you can protect yourself, and all that sort of stuff. And that goes for all of the castle builds, and this is some of them. So this is the most popular chunk build of mine. It's the castle gatehouse, and the cool thing about this one is that it's well, you can be shot at when you come in here. And so on and so forth. And of course, as you can see, the wall sections will attach here. And if we go in here, there should be a fair few defensive measures. So this is machinery for the gate. You can stand here and shoot. You can let's see. You can go into these little things here and shoot, and you can go down to where we saw before. And look at people coming in and shoot at them in the castle like that, in the castle gatehouse. And so this turned out to be a very popular video for some reason. Well, I mean, it's a very cool build, I have to say. It's small, fits in a chunk, but it's super detailed. Following on the theme, I made a castle keep, and this is a build I think has. It could be more popular. I really like this place. You know, we have a war room, we have We have a stairway leading up to a little balcony overlooking the war room, or you can hold a speech there if you want. We can go into the kitchen, or we can go up into the library, and then that goes even further up into the master bedroom. I like this build. I think it's cool. So anyway, we took a bit of a pause with the castle theme after this. We did come back to it later on in the what I would like to think of as a season. Can I get out of here, please? And we went to the Wild West. And this also is one of my favorite builds. This is a gold digger's outpost. And this is where I started working with heights a little bit more. And I love that they have a little gold digger set up here with a water wheel and the water coming in here so they can go in and wash the gold here. The water wheel is driven by these poor donkeys here. So yeah, they're fake donkeys, guys. Don't worry. A saloon was next. A saloon. This is a pretty odd building, but it's very red, very dark. I made a piano here, which I think is pretty cool. And you can go up and overwatch it from here. There are some mysterious heads on the walls. And then there are rooms here, of course. Small rooms, bigger rooms. And this one I think even has a balcony. Yeah, you can go out here on the balcony. Yeah, pretty cool build, pretty cool build. A Western saloon. We continue with the Western theme next and made a tiny little build which is a sheriff's office and jail. And it's over here. A sheriff's office and jail. I like this build. This is super messy. I imagine that it's been shot up a number of times and they've just sort of kept patching it and patching it and patching it. But I like the interior as well. There's the sheriff's boots, his star, his lasso, and his helmet. And I think there is even a prisoner in the prison here. Yep, there is a prisoner. He was drunk one night. He went too far in the saloon, and the sheriff put him behind bars to cool down. So here we get to a building that I haven't actually made a video about. I didn't think it was good enough, but actually it's kind of interesting in some ways. This is a modern build. This is actually two British terraced houses connected together. And this one is my attempt at making my own house, actually. So let's go to the neighbors first. Typical British setup with a living room and a tiny kitchen, and then and a bathroom in here. And then upstairs we have, you know, it's very narrow, but we have two bedrooms with walk-in closets. So these are a bit more luxurious than normal British houses, maybe. So that's pretty cool. Now it's always hard to build real things in Minecraft, of course. But this is kind of my house. We have a bedroom for one of our sons. We have a bathroom with a laundry facility in it. We have a big old stairway going up. And then we have a kitchen that's actually bigger than this, but for some reason it turned out, well, for chunk reasons it turned out this small. And then we have a back garden as well, but I couldn't fit that in. Going upstairs, we have a living room here actually, but I had to turn it around also for chunk reasons. So we have our main bedroom and our living room, which is bigger than this. Yes, so then on the top floor we just have two bedrooms, like here. And some of them have small little wardrobes in them as well and stuff like that. All in all, a fairly nice little house, I think you have to say. And kind of has an interesting point in that it's actually a house type that is really common where I live. The next house as well I didn't do a video about. Again, I didn't think it fit in quite. It's a fairly bog standard house, you might say. But this is what I would say is a typical Swedish house. It's actually modeled after a type of Swedish house you can buy that is built in modules in a factory, and then they just chuck it up. It's called the Smålandsvillan. So anyway, you go in here. There's a hallway leading into the kitchen, the dining area leading into the living room, and a very close connection with the outdoors where there's a big barbecue. The other section of the house is basically bedrooms. So bedroom, toilet, bedroom, and a second entrance here with a well, usually we would have like an extra shower maybe, or something like that in there. And a place to hang your wet clothes. Whoops. Here I am destroying buildings. Yeah. Next up we have a modern, almost futuristic, quite aggressive house, I would say. But you park your car here, and then you have a pool here. It has quite a nice interior here with it's fairly lofty and airy, and you have a kitchen and a back door and things like that. Yeah, pretty cool. So this is the third theme, you might say, that became quite popular, the Roman theme. And this is a Roman bathhouse in a chunk. So this is quite a cool build, I think. I'm quite impressed that I managed to fit all of this stuff into a chunk, and it looks pretty good. Controversial subject or choice of materials maybe, jungle wood for the roof. It was the closest fit I could find really here. So anyway, the Romans would have gotten changed in here together. They weren't as shy as the people in the West are now. Then they would have had a medium warmth pool here, and they would have had a really hot pool and a very cold pool. But unfortunately I could only fit in these two extra pools. So they would go in here and have it maybe very hot, and then maybe medium there, and then this might be the cold one in this case. There are some nice chairs for them to, benches for them to sit on, and they can go upstairs and get massages and such like. So here's one massage room. Maybe they prepare their oils and stuff like that. Another massage room with a bench, massage bench. And then we come to the heart of the whole operation, which is a water tank with a big boiler underneath it. And somewhere around here is where the aqueduct would have attached to the bath itself. So the second part of the Roman theme was this. Very cool house. This is one of my favorites, honestly. It's a Roman insula. An insula is a house that would have existed in Rome, and it's a multi-family house. But all Romans of all sort of walks in life would have lived in it. The rich people would have lived on the lower floors, and the poorer you were, the higher up you lived. That was because it was easier to get out of the house if you were closer to the ground, in case there was a fire. And then there would have been small shops like these all around the outside, and you have to imagine this being the road going around the house like this. So you can see there are shops everywhere. There's a shoemaker, a little pub, somebody selling walnuts, and clothier, a hay person. And then in this insula, everybody who lived in this insula would have shared a kitchen. So this is where they would have gone to cook their food, and then or they would have gone to gather their food if somebody else had cooked it already. I have to show this as well. This is a brothel, and yeah, this is a fabric shop, and a food shop, and a barber's. Yeah, there's all sorts in this house. That's why I like it. If we go upstairs just a little bit to show you the difference here. Well, first of all, the rich people on the first floor, they have their own entrance around the back here, around the front. They have quite a nice setup. They have their own bath. They have a nice eating area and so on and so forth. But if we go into the second floor, which you access via the stair here, you can see that they have more wood maybe, but they have basically the same setup. And these guys as well, I think. Then if you go up on the loft, they are really crammed in here. They basically have a bed and a sofa. They have little hatches if they're lucky. They even have roof or holes in their wall because the roof is not tight, watertight. So yeah, this is one of my favorite builds actually. Next up is actually a two-parter, but I've separated it out here to just emphasize the chunkiness of it all. So it's a Roman villa, and this is the living quarters, and that's sort of the yard quarters. And you know, from the outside it looks really boring. It's just a square. really, but it's the inside that makes this build. So we come into an inner yard here with a pool in it, and then there are rooms going off the sides here with some decorations in them and so on. This is where you will sit and eat, this is where you prepare your food, and this is supposedly the kitchen. So attached to this, you can see there are two exits, right? Attached to this and coming out onto these two, or onto this little inner yard, is this building, which is an inner yard with a bigger pool, some storage, servants' quarters, and the stables. And it all leads out back here where you can take your animals in and out. So that's the Roman theme, guys. That was a theme that I really liked. The other theme that I really liked was the castles, of course. And so we went back to that and actually made it proper modular. And my idea for that was to make more buildings with walls on them, but where the building's sort of attached to the wall. And this is sort of a general purpose one. This is an artisan. I've made it up into a bakery here just to illustrate. We have a fireplace, a big bakery table, a throw, and all sorts of things. The next one was a castle church. This is also really cool, actually. Looks cool. I actually overreached, I think, the chunk size by 1 here, because if you look at this stair, it actually goes onto the border here, so shame on me. But, you know, it's still a cool build. So inside here I made an organ. Again, this organ is invented by Magma Musen. Go and check him out. And there's an altar. There's a place for the choir out back there, although they have to go up via a ladder, and so on. The third build here is a great hall, a castle great hall. Again, it's attached to the wall, and in fact I think if we go in you'll find that the wall is an integral part of the build. So we have a great hall here, you sit around here and eat. The head honcho sits around here, but then we have these, in the wall we have these alcoves. And so I think that's really cool. They've sort of sacrificed a bit of security here to gain these little nifty places to sit in. And of course we have an open, roaring fire in this place as well. So just to tie up the knots with the castle theme, I made a straight wall section and a yard section as well. Alright, moving on. We now went into early medieval or Iron Age housing and village life. Rustic medieval, I think I called this theme. And the goal was to make a modular village that would attach nicely to the modular castle. And so first off I made 3 living quarters, basically homes. These are very small, tiny builds, quite messy. I love them. They're really cool in my opinion. You can go in and see how they would have lived. They would have had a table and kitchen, fireplace, and then they would have had the animals indoors, because that would have made it warmer for them, for everyone involved. And yeah, the next one is just an L shape, and the third one is kind of a T-shaped building. But these are all slightly different, so if you do download the world or the structure blocks, go in and have a look in them. Next up I made 2 sort of artisans also for the medieval theme. So first off here is a blacksmith. He has a little shed here with a big old furnace. I should have put, this is my attempt at bellows, by the way. There should be water here somewhere, but yeah, you can add that if you want. And then they sort of process the goods here and presumably store it in these chests and sell it. There is an anvil here as well. Next up we had a furriers. This would have been one of the more common artisans. Blacksmith, of course, is quite a rare thing unless the village is quite big or there's a castle right next to it. So yeah, the idea with this place is to take animal skins and process them through these various steps with acid, with hot water, cold water, washing it, scraping the meat off of it, and then hardening it as well. and then finally making it into various leather clothing. Oh yeah, you can stand here at the dye shop as well and dye it, of course. And then they even have some things for sale out here as a sort of a stand. Yep. Just to tie up the medieval or Iron Age village, I made this little farm for them as well. And yeah, there is a video where I sort of build a whole village out of these things, if you want to go and check that out. We went a bit modern after that, maybe as a reaction. This is a typical modern, very modern Danish house. I really like it. It's meant to be a Danish house. It's got inner walls that are different from the outer ones, so it's quite small inside. But it's still really cozy. You can imagine this laying on the coast somewhere. Maybe it's a beach house or something like that. I think it's pretty cool, and the block palette is nice. I really like how the nature sort of blends into the block palette. That's what I like about it. And finally, for the modern stuff, we made a small modern house. It's kind of a variant, you might say, of the one over there. But this one is smaller, and in some ways it's nicer, to be honest. You go in here. There's nice kitchen dining room area, nice living room area. And there's a sleeping loft upstairs with a balcony, which, yeah, that's fairly nice, actually. Right. Now, the next theme is Atlantis, guys. Atlantis. And I read a bit about... well, I've read a lot of Plato in my days, but I read up again on Plato's description of Atlantis. And this is the block palette that he had, if that makes sense. So it's red and orange, black and white. And so I made a Atlantean shrine first off. See, it's on an island here, and there's a little bridge leading into it. And this is a fairly nice build. I like the indoor-outdoor feel. You have big open areas in the ceiling, and there's a little altar here. As well, where you can do whatever you do if you're an Atlantean citizen. But of course, as you know, Atlantis had a bit of an accident and was, due to the wrath of the gods, was thrust into the seas. And this is what the temple looks like when it's broken down, sunken into the sea, and surrounded by corals and all sorts of things. I think that this is a cool touch. You have a building, and then you have the ruins of the building as well. That's cool. Continuing with the Atlantean theme, we have this Atlantean tower. This is, I don't know, this is a cool build, right? It's very messy, though, or busy, I would say. It's not messy, actually, it's busy. But there are some details in it that I really like, such as these window sections made with stairs and slabs. I really like the block palette, and I like the feel of the interior here. It's very warm and red, and then we come up and it becomes really airy and nice. And then we go even further up, and we have some balconies here. And at the very top you can stand and look out over the ocean, watching for intruders, presumably. Now, I did make a third Atlantis build, an Atlantis house or mansion, and it's this one here, but I never made a video about it, so here we go. This is how the typical Atlantean upper middle class would have lived, I imagine it. Atlantis was fairly rocky, so that's why these are quite elevated and stuff like that, these houses. But you go up here and come into it. There's a servants' quarters and kitchen here. I think there's a balcony or sort of an outdoor area here. And then you can go up into a master bedroom, basically, with a balcony, a French balcony, and more of a outdoor dining area out here. All in all, I think this turned out really nice. I'm not quite sure why I didn't make a video about this. Maybe I was busy. But now you have sort of a video about it, and the structure block is in the description. So the things that remain here, apart from that thing there, the tower, are seasonal themed things. It was Halloween, guys, and I made Hansel and Gretchen and their gingerbread house. There used to be a witch in here, but I think she's wandered off somewhere. This is where Hans was kept prisoner, and this is where Gretchen had to work her bum off so that the witch didn't have to do anything. That's quite a nice little touch with a well here, custom tree, and some bits like that. The next Halloween themed build is a Halloween mansion. And this is pretty cool. This is a cool building, I think. It's very tall and narrow, you know, but I love the roof. Look at the roof, guys. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so the interior here is goes in the Halloween theme of having quite a lot of red and black and grey. There's a room, a stairway leading up to another room, and then there's a nice balcony out here. And I think we ran out of space for a stair, so we have to climb up to the attic. But this is up in the ceiling, or in the roof, and this is massive, guys. Massive. But yeah, this interior maybe isn't the best, but I do really enjoy the shape of the exterior and the block palette and so on and so forth. Yeah, I think in the structure block some bits on the ground here has disappeared, by the way, I'm noticing now, because this was fairly heavily landscaped. But never mind that. Now we have this thing as well. This is a dwarven tower, guys. Dwarven tower. I had plans to make a whole dwarven theme, but I sort of lost a little bit of inspiration for chunk builds towards the end of the year, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I do really like this dwarven tower. It's a diamond shaped. I imagine that dwarves always build in precious, in the shape of precious metals, or precious stones, I'm saying. So diamond shape or octagonal buildings or things like that. So this is the interior. I think it's really cool. You can go up here and shoot people if you want to. This tower, compared to the medieval towers, is much broader and stockier because it's not as tall. But you can imagine it being chucked up onto a high mountain or something like that, and being extremely defensible because of it. Yeah, I really like that build. The final build, guys. Well, it was Christmas. I made a globe. It has a wonky Christmas tree in it. It's alright, guys. It's alright. But you know what? It's a seasonal build. It was Christmas. I have to pick a favorite. And it's going to be the Roman Insula. You let me know in the comments what is your favorite of these builds. And yeah, please do download the structure blocks and download the world download as well if you're interested in that sort of stuff. And I will say this about the ChunkBuild series. Consider this the end of Season 1 of ChunkBuild anyway. And later on in 2018 we may do Season 2. But for now I'm gonna go on to other creative build endeavors. And not build any more chunk builds for a while. But yeah, thank you very much for the interest you've shown in this this series and in this video. That is no doubt extremely long, guys. I apologize for that. But come on, 35 chunk builds. You can't do that in a minute. Yeah, so thank you for your interest shown, and I hope you check out some of the other things that I'm doing on the channel as well while you're here. So I'm doing more creative building. I've made a shell keep recently, and more is coming out. And of course I do survival stuff as well, and I do modded stuff. So go have a look, guys. But yeah, I will see you next time you watch one of my videos. Thank you for watching, and bye!